Hey everyone, this is Kevin. I was helping someone on a coding project earlier, and I kind of found that a client-side form validation would be a good solution. Plus, it'd be a good way to introduce the concept. So in this video, I'm going to show you what that is, why we use it, and how to do a very simple implementation of it. So client-side form validation, also called front-end validation or JavaScript form validation, is an extra step to prevent users from submitting invalid data. And also just makes for a better user experience. So if you imagine a long form, you get to it, you fill it out, you finally get to the bottom, and you click submit just to find out that the page just reloads to tell you that, hey, something you typed in was invalid. That sucks, and it gets extra crappy when you end up having to retype some information that you already had there previously. So what if the form just didn't allow you to move on until everything was valid? So that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. I just have this basic dropdown. This was a project that was in Rails using Bootstrap and jQuery. So for the sake of simplicity, I will use jQuery, but this can all be done using regular JavaScript. So if your project doesn't have jQuery or you're just not a fan of it, you just have to type in the JavaScript equivalents of these commands. So I'm going to run through the code. I just did a really simple recreation of the app. So here we have a select with the drop-down options 5 through 1. And then we also have that first one, which was an empty value that just had your select the rating almost to act as if a placeholder. This drop-down has the ID of rating drop-down. And then we have a button with the ID of submit BTN. And note that it is disabled by default. So on page load, this is disabled like so. Then we have some CSS. That's just to add some spacing. And then let's go and jump into the JavaScript code. So we have the jQuery selector using this hashtag sign is for IDs. So we're going to grab the element with the ID of rating dropdown, and then on change. So whenever this dropdown changes, it's going to run this function where we're going to grab the value of this rating dropdown, and we're going to check if it's empty. And if it is empty, we're going to grab the element submit BTN and then disable it. Else, we're going to just go ahead and remove that disabled on the submit button. So if I click here, go to 5 now. So this is a valid, is no longer empty. This submit button is now enabled. So we can go here, 4, 3, it's back there. Now we can take this a step further. We go back to select the rating. This button is disabled again. But if we go back to the HTML, I have this little p tag with the ID of error message, and I have the CSS on has display none by default. And with that, how we use that is once it goes back to an invalid rating, we're going to do a show on it. And all that is jQuery for, get rid of display none and put display block. And then once we go back to a valid rating again, we're just going to hide it again. Just to note, something to be aware of is that you still should use a server-side back-end data validation. If you're in a Rails project, you would do that in your model or your database migrations. And that's because the page can be easily manipulated to potentially still submit data. I'm going to show you that. So right here, we have it where it's disabled. Now it's enabled. If we go back to select, it says it's disabled. But all you have to do is just go into this element. You see this disabled here. If you just get rid of it, now potentially you can submit bad data in there. So this is why you still want to use a back-end validation as well. Remember, the client-side form validation is more for a user experience, not to just prevent people from moving on. So there you have it, a very basic client-side form validation with jQuery. I'll leave this CodePen link in the description below. And if you took away something from it, let me know in the comments, send me a message, and be sure to share this with someone who might find it useful. Thanks for watching.